Hey, how's it going, my dudes? This is part 3 of the Calibria Net 3 tier list showcasing the evil types for today. If you have not checked out part 1 and part 2 of the Lawful and Chaotic Net 3 tier lists, you should click on the card at the top of the screen right now to check them out first. Okay, I'll put both of them up there. Okay, before I begin, if you haven't yet heard, there is actually an ongoing event where you just have to like the game's Facebook page and you will receive a gift code that contains 1 Mystical Scroll, 1 EXP Cat, which is nonsense, and 50,000 Kalia Knight. I've put the instructions down in the descriptions below, so check it out and go get that coin. And of course, do consider subscribing if this video helped you out at all, or even a little bit. Okay, so quick summary of how the tiering system works. 1 point is awarded to a hero if it strives in any of the following content: Colossus, Leviathan, Guild Wars, and the Arena. The 5th and final point is awarded if the unit excels at its role. Also, please take note that while I'm the one doing the final evaluations, it is not without the prior insight of the general player base where I derive my results. On with the video. Okay, chill. Let's begin with the first, the first evil hero, okay, Cerberus, an attack type hero with a fancy S2B over here that ignores a single enemy's defense with a slightly higher multiplier than Flame Spirit's Sacred Fire skill, okay, the AoE ignore defense skill. His S3A over here is also useful for PvP, but frankly an energy boost is extremely essential for DPS comms, which this buff lacks. So it only comes with an attack buff and a crit rate buff, but if it came with an energy boost, that would make all the difference. Okay, so this buff is also not that viable for PvE due to the long cooldown time of 5 turns. It caps off at 5 turns. Useful for sniping off enemies in Guild War, I feel. I'll explain a little bit more on Guild Wars in the future. So he's just okay for PvP, 2 out of 5. Moving on quick, Alchemist. Oh, okay, this character. Do people actually know that she exists? She has the highest base HP among all the Net 3's, including light and dark types, 7,095 base HP. That is crazy. Okay, so her skill 1, it scales off 13% of her own max HP. Her skill 2B scales off 10% of her own max HP, as well as has a 60% chance at max to increase all enemy skill cooldowns by 1 turn with a 3 turns cooldown. So this is very effective for constant disruption. And her S3A over here is where she gets good. She deals 80% of her missing HP in fixed damage. So if the skill defeats the target, she recovers 30% of her own HP as well. This is so good. Remember Jungle Heart in the Chaotic tier list? This is what a stalling unit should do. All skill scales of her own max HP with some kind of sustain from S1 and S3, as well as a disruptive S2 over here. So she'll be able to 1v1 probably anything. Okay, anything that cannot kill her fast enough or cannot kill her in one go, she would be able to 1v1 anyone. She even has a 30% HP leader over here to boot. A solid lawful type bait. Okay, so as a beta, she is actually one of the better Net 3 betas. I would say that she's probably the best. Yeah, I would say that she's the best Net 3 beta. 3 out of 5 for all PvP content. Moving on, Flame Mantis. Okay, this is a rather under the radar hero. He is stocked with attack debuff skills on S1, S2B, and S3A. Yep. If you have ever attended Leviathan 10, that is where you find his S3A over here to be exceptionally useful. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about L10 over here. Not only does he debuff the enemy Orc Warriors attacks in the first wave, he also prevents them from further gaining their Crimson Rage attack boost, and that thing really hurts. Okay, so let's go and take a look at what the Crimson Rage is. Okay, so if you're doing Leviathan 10, this passive over here enters a Crimson Rage for 3 turns, increase attack up to 150% as HP falls, and gains a bonus attack turn. This thing really hurts. So it's one of the reasons why people tend to fail their runs. That's because they cannot control the Orc Warriors effectively, but this character over here, he is exceptionally good at it. Okay, so while Flame Mantis has become less required during the second wave and the Leviathan fight itself, he's still useful for controlling the damage output of the Colossus, which is heavy on damage. And you see, he also prevents the Colossus from gaining buffs for 2 turns. So all in all, he's a very good choice to pick if you're in need of a sustain in PvE content. So 3 out of 5, a very good hero. Well, I'll say he's above average, not very good. Okay, next, Mummy. His S1 is a dot. right? With 100% proc rate at max. And his S2A has the potential to remove 45% of the boss's HP with all 3 stacks, because it's 3 times 3, that's 9, which times 5 is 45. Yes, my math is right. Okay, and his S3A over here is yet another 100% proc double dot the last 2 turns. That's a total of 20% HP gone. So these 2 skills alone able to reduce the boss HP by 65%. I mean, that's if of course you land everything. This dude is gut loaded with poison and even comes with a 21% Catacombs defense lead, which is something that I use off and on. Alright, his only downfall is his meager AE8 speed, but if you give him Swift, 6 pieces of Swift, this 88 base speed becomes quite irrelevant because he's gonna just keep taking a lot more turns that way. Let's look at Gargoyle next. Sorry, 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5, very good for a lot of PvE. Gargoyle, even slower than a mummy. Oh my goodness, 87 base speed. However, that is actually not his setback. It's not even a problem at all because his S3C over here, it seems very good, and it is as critical hits. I mean, critical hits will push his energy higher by 25% each time, so he becomes a great stalling hero just by having that passive. So he doesn't really need a lot of speed, he just needs people to hit him and he will take his turn. He also has a very decent chance to petrify enemies on his S1, which is a 50% chance to stun the enemy in a sense, which makes him a very good choice for counter runes, because whenever you counter attack, you use your S1. So by resisting critical hits with this passive over here and taking more turns, you will also be able to provide more control with his S2A, which reduces the enemy's attack for 2 turns. So overall, a hero that seems to shine only in the very end game, okay? Because in order for you to take critical hits, you need to be able to have a pretty solid defensive stat in the first place, and that might only come in the end game. But the thing is, he has complete immunity to defense down effects, which is super good. So 3 out of 5 for PvP. 3 out of 5. He can be quite useful. I do see him being quite annoying with his stunts. Okay, moving on, Wight. So her S2s, they allow you to customize her kit into AoE attack debuff or AoE defense debuff. And you might need AoE attack debuff in the early game, whereas AoE defense buff is more for like speed running dungeons, so she has that flexibility in that sense. Her S3C over here can be quite useful because it bypasses heal blocks, but her main selling point is really her budget necro passive over here. It caps off at 60% at max, which is even less than an unskilled up necro, but may be useful given enough turn cycling. So if you take a lot more turns, this 60% actually doesn't really matter because you're always going to be taking turns and proccing more you have more chances to proc the cleanse anyway. However, I'm only going to give her a 2 out of 5 because Necro is just so much better and it's free to play as well. You can craft Necro, so you don't really necessarily need her that much. Moving on, Harpy. Yes, Demonic Swordsman's best friend. I'll explain why. She comes with a bleed on her S1, a really clutch heal on her S2B, and the main reason why you use her, the ability to reduce all the cooldowns of all allies on her S3B. So everything in the kit is so viable because she single-handedly has access to a boss DPS role over here, a healer, and as well as an amazing support. The reason why I say that she's Demonic Swordsman's best friend is because of her leader skill, which gives all evil allies a 23% speed bonus. So this is really good for taking more turns in a dungeon or in PvP, and even your non-evil type heroes, take note, even your non-evil type heroes benefit indirectly because they now have more haste buffs from here and more energy boosts from the Demonic Swordsman. So 5 out of 5, her entire kit is good. Everything about her is good. Moving on, Magic Witch. Okay, so she seems to be quite popular nowadays. I've been hearing a little bit more about her. She has a fancy strip on her S1 that hits twice, thus having more opportunities to proc. Her S2A is also a really good shield over here. She has a shield on this as well, but I prefer S2A, as you can focus on building her with a lot of HP and the shield will grow proportionally larger. It also has a very short cooldown of 3 turns at max, so with Harpy, your team is technically on a perpetual shield state, so she just needs to take 2 turns, she can shield up again, so perpetual shield. She can either be viable for PvE with her S3A, or viable in PvP with whichever S3A or S3B you decide to go with. However, I don't see her excelling in any one specific role. I mean, the strips are nice, okay? Yeah, the strips are nice. But because she lacks that tight turning factor, because all she has is just like a strip, right? She has 2 strips and then a shield that works pretty well, and just a single target sleep. She doesn't really have a tight turning factor, so I'd give her a 4 out of 5 rating. You can use her in many places, you can use her everywhere, but I think it's better to just replace her. I don't know. Okay, Shadow Wolf. He does not have any fancy S1 or S2 skills. It's just like extra crit rate, HP regen lock, reduce energy, which is not good for PvE, and increased crit rate. It cuts through whatever. It's not really remarkable, but his main selling point comes from his S3A over here, which changes everything about him. So 45% chance to call an ally along with his attack can be absolutely useless if you pull a healer or support without an effective S1. Like for example, you pull a druid to attack with you, but the boss hasn't even had his buffs up yet. Or extremely powerful, especially if the debuffs and the damage that follows is essential, like such as Popo. Well, if you drag a Popo along with you, whoa, the boss is gonna have a hell of a time, man. I have not tested if this passive decreases the ally's cooldowns as well, because you're technically giving the ally a turn to attack. Okay, if it does, then this hero might be really quite crazy on 6 pieces of Berserk runes. He has a 30% chance to reduce the cooldown on one of his allies and bring him to attack at the same time. That is if the ally's cooldown does decrease. Okay, with his S2C over here, if you do choose to have his S2C, he effectively does not need any more than 70% crit rate to be critically attacking all the time, because his S1 already has a bonus 30% crit rate, and here 50%. It's a bit of an overkill, but it's still there. I'd score him an uncertain 4 out of 5. This is the first time I'm not sure. An uncertain 4 out of 5. Moving on. Wow, seems like all the units are good, right? Seems like all the heroes have been good. Okay, Guardian Knight, not a tank, but a bruiser that scales off defense. Okay, so all his skills kind of like have like a kind of defense boosts his damage in some sense. He has an interesting S3C over here. Like, if you have 5,000 defense, okay, let's say you jack him out with defense. If he has 5,000 defense, that equates to 20,000 more health. That's crazy. That's really good. That's really good on a lot of the net 5s. If this was on a net 5, super good. But just too bad that the rest of his kit is really not worth looking at. The first 0 out of 5 in the Evil faction. So that's it for this video. Whoa, I expected this video to be a lot longer than it is. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any feedback, any comments, any rebuttals, leave them down in the comment down below. I like to listen to what you have to say, and I like to change my opinions a little bit based on what you have experienced as well. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you as always in the next one.